Unit 11, problem post number 3, Roots and Factors. Be sure to fill out a pre-score, number 1 through 5, assessing your ability to find roots and factors and graph a quadratic with those key features before watching the video. This video's guest of honor will be a spirit with a lantern, because I guess spirits have a hard time seeing in the dark too. Okay, so let's consider the quadratic equation x squared plus 2x minus 8. We want to write this quadratic in factored form. So we notice this is a trinomial. Our a term is 1. We're going to use the add multiply method to factor. We want to see what adds to 2 and multiplies to 8. So off to the side we can find the factors of 8, 1 and 8, 2 and 4. We have to add to a 2. We notice that this c term is a negative. That means the signs have to be opposite. So when I make my two groups of parentheses, I will have a positive and a negative, so that way the opposite signs will multiply to this negative. So x and x to make x squared, and 2 and 4 will be my factors. The 4 will be positive, and the 2 will be negative because they need to add to a positive 2. So there's my factored form. Number 2, we want to find the solutions. So to find the solutions, I want to take each factor and set it equal to 0. So here's each factor. Here's the x plus 4 and the x minus 2. To set this equal to 0, well, I've set it equal to 0 already. To solve it for x, I'll subtract 4 from both sides, and x will be equal to negative 4. Over here, I'll add 2 to both sides, and x will be equal to positive 2. So here are my solutions. Number 3 wants to know what the roots of the parabola are. So remember, the roots are also known as the x-intercepts. This question wants to know where this parabola will cross the x-axis. Well, the roots are in fact the same thing as the solutions. So the roots, let's make that 2 words. The roots are negative 4 and 2, because those are my solutions, negative 4 and 2. And we know that these solutions are going to be the same x values where this parabola crosses the x-axis. Those are the roots. Oh, the spirit fell. I'll put the spirit over here. Okay, number 4 wants to know the vertex of the parabola. In previous videos and lessons, we talked about how to find a vertex algebraically. For this video, we'll show a new way to find the vertex. Let's do it with the calculator. So go to the y equals screen, and we'll enter in our function x squared plus 2x minus 8. And when we look at the graph, we see that the vertex is going to be this minimum point, where it stops decreasing and starts increasing. It might be a bit hard to see with the pixels, so we can go to the table to see the numbers themselves. And when we look at our table, we're looking for the point of symmetry in this table. So I notice these numbers are getting quite large, and I know my parabola was in my 10 by 10 screen, so I'm going to go up in my table. And now I'm going to start seeing some repeated values, which is good because I know my vertex will be right in between all the repeated values. So we can see here, if we look at negative 4, we have a 0, and then we're decreasing to negative 5, decreasing to negative 8, decreasing to negative 9. This is my vertex because after this point I start increasing again to negative 8, negative 5 to 0. And we also notice the symmetry. The negative 8s are the same, the negative 5s are the same, and the 0s are the same. So this point here, negative 1, negative 9, is my vertex. It is the center of symmetry in my table. So to show my work for this, I'm just going to record the table of values here. I have negative 4, 0, negative 3, negative 5, negative 2, negative 8, negative 1, negative 9. This is my vertex. This is an XY table. Should probably label that. And then the pattern continues in 0, -8, 1, -5, etc. So we see this is the center point of that symmetry, and that indicates our vertex. So if we want to write it as a coordinate point, -1, -9. Okay, so we have some good information here. We found the two roots in the previous problem on the previous page, and we found the vertex. So now we want to be able to sketch a graph using the roots and the vertex. So the roots, if we remember, were -4 and 2, and the vertex was the coordinate point -1, -9. So all of these are going to be points. The roots, remember, are where the graph crosses the x-axis. So I know the graph crosses the x-axis at -4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my -4. And I'm going to have a point right there. Also +2, 1, 2. I'll have a point here. And then I know my vertex is at -1, -9. So -1 on the x and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the y. So I have these three key points here, and I know this is my vertex point, the minimum value, and I'm going to increase going to the right, and my graph will be decreasing from the left. So I'll sketch my parabola curve. And I'll put some arrows on the ends here as well. So my graph should look something like this. We actually do have a y-intercept here of -8. If you remember from the original function, the constant was a -8. So that's like a bonus point that you can find. Explain the relationship between the factors, the solutions, and the roots. Well, if you remember, we needed the factors to find the solutions. After setting the factors equal to 0, we find the solutions. And whatever the solutions to the quadratic are where that quadratic crosses the x-axis. So those are the roots. So if we set factors equal to 0, we find the solutions. So set factors equal to 0 to find solutions. And the solutions are the roots. Or the roots of the parabola. So remember, the roots of the parabola are the x-intercepts where it crosses the x-axis, as we saw here from our graph. Okay, so don't forget to fill out a post score. Almost ran out of room. Post score is your number 1 through 5, assessing your ability to find roots and solutions and sketch a graph using the roots and solutions after watching the video.